Ne? Boah. Ja. Och du Jemine. Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I feel like it's been so long, but I actually have still been posting videos every week. It's just I took a couple weeks off and pre-scheduled some videos in advance for you guys so I could take a little bit of a vacation in the north of Germany. Anyways, I'm back and I spent 2 long weeks with my wonderful German family. And throughout those couple weeks, there were a number of things where I consistently had to giggle at myself. Because I find Germans so cute and I find there's so many stereotypical things that they constantly say. And of course, this doesn't go for all Germans. This is something that I've experienced within my own German family here, but I do tend to also hear it from some other Germans that I know. But before I jump into those adorable things that Germans tend to say, I would also like to give a huge thanks for today's sponsor. I have mentioned them before. You probably already know them, and that is Lingoda. And I am really excited to introduce to you today their autumn Lingoda sprints. If you've heard me talk about their previous sprints before, this one is a little bit different. This special autumn edition sprint lasts only 2 months, which is actually the shortest sprint in history. So here's how it works. You'll either choose to take part in the Lingoda sprint or their Lingoda super sprint. The sprint challenge is when you choose to take 15 classes a month for 2 months, and the super sprint puts you up to the challenge to attend 30 classes a month for 2 months. So what's the difference? Well, if you attend all of your classes in the Lingoda sprint, no excuses count, guys, then you will get 50% of the cash back that you paid. And if you are up for the challenge and can master the Lingoda Super Sprint Challenge, you will actually get 100% of your cash back. Pretty cool. There are actually more than 40,000 other people who have taken part in a previous Lingoda sprint, and they love it not only because they received that push that they really needed to learn, but because the learning method actually helped boost their confidence in speaking the language properly. When I mentioned that they helped me out learning German, I really meant it, you guys. You're actually put into small group classes with qualified native speaking teachers, and they offer a really interactive curriculum. So all of those silly questions that I had about, I don't know, German slang, or why does my mother-in-law say this word differently than you guys would? And they always answered my questions with a giggle. So I thought that that was really nice. Not to mention having a family myself and being self-employed, being able to jump in on a class 24/7 with that flexibility of having those different learning hours was a huge bonus for me. So if you're ready to jump back on the bandwagon and reach your language learning goals before the end of the year, there's only actually 4 months left in 2021, might I add. I would highly encourage you guys to consider signing up for the Lingoda sprint or for the super sprint and staying committed for those 60 days. If you're up for it, here's what you'll need to know. The registration period is open from September 3rd, so try to get on that as soon as possible. The sprint courses start on September 7th and end on November 5th. So you can mark those in your calendar now and put that time aside. And if you do choose the sprint, you will then attend those 15 classes a month for 2 months, and you will get 50% of your cash back. Or if you decide to go with the super sprint, which I would definitely recommend, you will attend 30 classes a month for 2 months. And if you attend all of those classes, you will actually get 100% of your cash back. Also, this doesn't only apply to learning German. You can also learn English, business English, Spanish, and French. And I know that there's many of you that actually mentioned that my channel helps you learn English in a more natural way. Lingoda teachers are also really great with this too. So if you have any questions at all, just let me know. Otherwise, why not fall in love with language learning this autumn? Join the language sprint and boost your speaking fluency in just 60 days. You can sign up with my link down below or with the voucher code Germany20 to get 20 euros off your sprint challenge. And of course, don't forget to check out Lingoda's FAQ section before joining. And back to those adorable Germans, shall we? So the first thing that I find not just my family says, but that I now often say, and I've also mentioned things that have changed about me after living in Germany so long, and I will link that up above. But the one thing that I constantly say, that my family constantly says, and so many Germans around me, is ne. It's like an alternative to saying A, as we say in English. Like, so you'd ask a question, you'd be like, oh, the weather's super crappy outside, A. You would say here, like, das Wetter ist mega schlimm heute, ne? And I find it so cute. I gladly adopted this, ne? And I also noticed I just did 2 appearances on VDR in the last few weeks, actually. After watching those videos, I realized I say ne like so often that it's almost annoying. I also said the word toll like way too often. Anyway, I'm gonna do a reaction video about how I found myself to be live on German television and my whole experience there. That will be for a later date. But another really, really cute thing that I find Germans often say is boah. Like, I don't know, maybe when they're tired or there's a lot to do at work or something, they would just like sit there and be like, boah, ich habe aber mega viel zu tun heute, ne? I use not in that sentence as well. And you've probably heard this one before, even if you're not German, but you've been living here for a while, is that I find that many Germans tend to add chen or lein on the end of a word to make it sound a little cuter. My son's name is Max, and I find that a lot of people tend to call him Maxilein, even though they don't even know him. Chen and lein I find to be really super cute when Germans say it. Like when they add chen on something, they might be like, oh, look at that little Mäuschen. Or my sister-in-law's name is Nora, and some of my family members like to call her Noaschen because it's a sign of endearment or just something that is super sweet. There's also another one that is very particular to my mother-in-law, and that is perhaps something has just dropped or my son is having a temper tantrum or something, and then she'll come along and be like, oh, du Jemine. I don't know if many people actually say this here in Germany, but I have heard it on TV a couple times, so I thought it would be worth mentioning here. I think it's super cute, but I don't actually know like the meaning behind it as to why would somebody say that. So if you guys say it, let me know. And if you know any more information about that actual like phrase, Och du Jemine, I would love to know. And there's a German word, or I guess a way of saying a word and a facial expression that goes hand in hand together and is the darn cutest thing I've ever seen here in Germany, and that is when somebody probably doesn't necessarily agree with you but might just be like, yeah. And they do these little like snooty lips where they're like, yeah. And I think it's so cute. My son does it now, and so a lot of people tend to be like, oh, you're so cute, you little snooty. And one of his nicknames now is Snooty. And I just think it's so cute when like a German just sits back and they're like, they don't really necessarily want to agree with you, and they're just like, yeah. Another similar one would be, naja. If I were to say like, oh, look, this girl is so pretty, somebody next to me who doesn't necessarily agree with me would be like, naja. You know, like on the fence, I'm not sure. Do you guys use that a lot? There was a really stereotypical one that I have loved since the beginning, and this was one that I had to kind of like figure out at the beginning because I didn't really know what was going on, but I've seen on a lot of like talk shows from a lot of comedians, is this like typical German thing when you're like done at a party or you're done at the dinner table and the conversation has now like come to an end and there's like that awkward pause, and the German might be like, so... And then they just like get up and leave. So when they first started doing this when I lived in Germany, everyone would like get up and leave. And I was like, was there some sort of like Batman signal that I did not understand here? Because I didn't realize that like everybody was just done eating at the same time and wanted to get up and leave. But no, this is the, so, sollen wir? And then you just get up and go. Now that I understand it, I'm like, okay, I know what this means. And I just think it is so flippin' adorable. Some of the things I might mention are also particular to the region where I live. So if you found that one was very particular to the region where I live, which is NRW, I live in Düsseldorf, if you don't know, let me know. There's one thing that my family members and a lot of my female friends tend to do, and that's when we're on the phone and we're saying goodbye, I'll be like, tschüss, and they'll be like, tschüss, and I'll be like, tschüss, they'll be like, tschüssi, tschüss. I just think it's really cool because I think that the stereotype of Germans being really harsh and the language being really harsh is entirely not true. But then when you hear someone on the phone and you're saying goodbye and you're like, okay, cheers, tschüssi, tschüss, tschüss. It's like the cutest thing ever. Like, how can you say the German language is harsh when you hear something that adorable? And the last one I want to mention is something that I've talked about before. If you guys know me, if you've watched a couple of my other videos before, you'll know that I absolutely love idioms. I love these German Redewendungen, and I love the fact that Germans tend to translate directly from German into English. And in a basic conversation that might be okay, but with these idioms or Redewendungen, they don't really make sense. I mentioned a ton of them in one of my videos and my 10,000 subscribers special, which I'll link up above. My favorite one is definitely, oh, I'm so sorry, my English is not the yellow from the egg. A lot of people here actually say that to me. I'll be like, alles gut, ich kann auch Deutsch sprechen, das ist kein Problem. And then they'll be like, oh, super, weil my English is not the yellow from the egg. I love you guys. You guys are so cute. Und das war's. I also want to take a second to say thank you so much to all of you. The last few weeks have been really nerve-wracking, really exciting, and really stressful for me because my 2 VDR appearances, one of them was on live national television. I don't really have much family here. I don't have all of my Canadian support here. So having you guys in the back end sending me comments and emails and support messages was so amazing. Und wie immer, vielen lieben Dank. Bis später.